Introducing people to snakes who are afraid of snakes has become a popular series on this channel, and I just do it whenever I have a friend who's willing to come over. So this is number 3 in the series. And this time, my friend is a lady. Wait, what? A lady's coming over? Who is it? What? The lady. Who's the lady? Oh, it's Keegan. Keegan is coming over and you didn't tell me? Ah! I would have worn a better hat. I didn't realize it was that big of a deal, Kent. You can wear one of Future Bob's hats. I did not authorize this. Thanks. So, as we established, my good friend Keegan is coming over. She definitely does not like snakes, and she's going to have a lot of questions. So, this will be fun. I'm hiding my hats from now on. Let's just cut to the Keegan stuff, shall we? So, you're really nervous right now.
Yeah, terrified.
When we talked about this, you weren't... you were pretty game.
Yeah, and I still am.
On a level of 1 to 10, let's say that when we talked about it, you were pretty excited to come over and do this.
It's my favorite show.
It's your favorite show?
Yes.
How many episodes of the show have you seen?
From beginning to end?
Yep, don't lie.
5.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Favorite show. She's seen 5 episodes, you guys, out of like 70-something. Favorite show. So if that was an 8, your excitement level. Now...
The excitement doesn't go down. It's just that the nervousness has gone up.
That's what. Okay, so that's what we're.
I'm not any less excited.
Okay, let's measure the nervousness.
Okay.
You were at a 2 nervousness. Now where are you at?
Like an 8.
Like an 8. Okay, 2 to 8. But as I said before, we're not springing snakes on you like a jack-in-a-box.
Thank you.
You've told me before that you have a history with snakes.
Yeah, so I grew up in kind of a snake-habitated is a nicer way to put it, area.
Snake-infested, it works.
And I had snakes when I was a little girl, like little pet snakes, garter snakes, catch in the backyard, hold on to them for a day or 2, let them go again.
You weren't afraid of them?
No, not at all.
You were catching snakes as a kid?
Correct.
What horrible experience happened to you that now you're terrified of snakes?
I never had a horrible experience, and I've been thinking about that because I knew we would talk about why I'm phobic of them, and I've thought about it, and I really have no idea why. If I could guess any reason, it's just a socialization thing that makes people...
Scared of snakes.
Media. It's a darn media.
That could have been it, but what about this possibility? Maybe you had an experience that was so bad that you blocked it out. Like you were literally attacked and pulled underwater by an anaconda. And you blocked it out.
Don't think I didn't think that.
It's interesting, and I knew the answer when I asked it, but the thing that's interesting is that you weren't afraid of snakes as a kid. Nothing bad has happened to you.
Right. That we know of.
But now that we know of. And now so now you're afraid of snakes. So tell me this, you have seen some of the videos. Which snakes make you feel less nervous as far as, not by name, but like colors? Are you more nervous with the darker ones, with the lighter ones, bigger, smaller? What makes a difference, if anything?
So I know it's completely illogical, but I'm a little bit more scared of like natural colored snakes versus like the really, really bright ones or like the white ones.
You said that actually on a post. I remember that because
yes.
I posted pictures of Damara, who's my big pinstripe girl, and Kata, who's my ivory, and it makes sense.
Yeah, you posed the question, and if you're scared of snakes, which
snake is more scary? And you said
the natural colored ones, because to me it reads in my brain, again illogical, but it reads in my brain as being a more wild, untamed, undomesticated snake, and therefore more likely to want to bite me or attack me or eat me in my sleep.
So what if I introduce you to a very small snake that is so far from wild colored that it's very far away from wild colored?
It's like a neon snake?
Yes. Yeah. All right. Tell me what questions you have while we look at Bear. Do your mind just go blank? Mm-hmm. You don't have to touch him. It's fine. I'll keep him over here.
Okay. I had some snake questions prepared. I'm going to keep my eye.
You've prepared snake questions?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Let's hear them.
So, do snakes live in collectives? And if so, what is that collective called?
Some do. The garter snakes that you caught as a child live in collectives. Mm-hmm. And I like the name collective for it. But I think that people call them snake dens, even though that describes an actual physical space. But it also describes like a group of snakes.
Like a social community.
A social community. They would call them snake dens. There's other names that they've called them too, but most snakes don't. The vast majority of snakes are solitary, and pythons are definitely solitary animals.
Oh, okay, so that leads me to my other question. Do snakes have dance battles?
Yes, they absolutely have dance battles. We would call that breeding combat, and males do that, and it definitely is like a dance battle with some species. I don't think ball pythons do it as much, but
I feel like a dance battle would be over really quickly. Like one would do like the Stevie Wonder, and then the other one would do like the Axl Rose, and then that's it.
Yeah, wow, what a great question, you guys. I've never been asked about dance battles between snakes. This is really good.
All right.
What other questions do you have?
Why would anybody want to own a snake, let alone a whole house full of them?
Well, you're asking that question from the perspective of someone who is uncomfortable with snakes.
Correct.
I myself am uncomfortable with spiders. So I might ask the question, why would anyone want to own a spider?
I would agree.
But that would be coming from the perspective that everyone feels the same about spiders as I do. What?
I was just doing a thing.
Did he look at you? Is that what happened?
Yep.
He looked at you?
He tried to make eye contact with me.
He looked at you and it made you do that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're far away from holding a snake at this point.
Okay, so I want to be clear that I don't, because you said this in the intro, I do not dislike snakes.
Mm-hmm. I did say that you don't like snakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't wish them any harm. I'm glad they're out there just doing their snake thing or whatever they're doing. I find them shady and shifty. Like, I would not loan a snake my car or like let it couch surf for more than a week.
Sure. But 7 days? You could have a snake living on your couch for 7 days?
Maybe if it was a really charming snake.
Okay. So you find them to be shady individuals?
Yeah. Just a little suspect. You know, like they're kind of up to no good.
Are you afraid of getting bit?
Yes.
Okay. Are you afraid of, like, if his head was far away, would it bother you to touch his tail?
No, and I'm going to start with that.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Do I need to tell him first?
No.
Are you sure?
No, I think it's fine. Because you have.
I'm going to tell him anyway.
Here's the thing: you have handled. You can tell him, but let's just say again, you've handled snakes before. You've caught snakes in the wild as a kid.
Yes.
But it's been how many years since you've touched a snake?
35 years.
Okay.
35 years maybe or more.
All right. So yeah, go ahead and tell him.
Okay, Bear.
Yep.
All right. It's a full Christian name.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to be respectful.
Yeah.
Okay, Bear. I'm about to touch you. I'm touching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yes. Terrible.
You felt terrible about that?
I can feel my heart beating. My cheeks are red and my ears are hot right now. All right. I'm going to try and touch Bear a little closer to his head.
Go for it. Now, I will say this, that if you touch his head...
What's going to happen?
It will cause him to quickly jerk back, possibly. The only thing that they have to defend themselves is their head. And this is also their most vulnerable spot. So most ball pythons, not Bear, because he's just used to being touched, most ball pythons are really head shy. Snakes in general, super head shy. So if you touch their head, they'll go bam. And it's almost like a strike, but it's a backward strike. And they're not trying to attack, they're trying to get away super fast. And it's really one of the only times that you'll see a python move quickly. The other time is if they're eating or they're striking in defense. They'll do that fast, but otherwise they're super slow moving animals. But their most vulnerable part is their head, and their tail is also fairly vulnerable. A lot of them are tail shy.
Now, this is silly, but this is the only part of them I actually find just intrinsically cute. Is this little tiny nub, like this last inch of him.
The little tail.
I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah. Well,
it is.
A little cute tail. But what about the pattern and lack of pattern in the...
I mean, pretty. Yeah. I mean, I can appreciate him from an aesthetic point of view.
Okay, we're getting somewhere.
Like, he's pretty.
Yeah.
For sure.
Pied het clown, by the way, for those of you keeping track. How do you feel about putting your hand out and letting him maybe crawl on your hand?
I need to know what the tongue thing is about first.
Okay. So the tongue thing is the same as a dog sniffing the air. to figure out what's going on in his environment.
I'm scared of dogs too.
So I know you are. Shouldn't have even. Dang it. He's got a Jacobson's organ, which brings scent particles from his tongue directly into this part of his brain and tells him what's around in his area. And if it's food, now he's not looking for food right now. He's not in food mode, but he can tell directionally where things are. So if there was a rodent to his left, you would see his tongue flicking to the left to get those scent particles.
Okay, so it wouldn't be his sight that picked up
they can
prey
see
first? It would be more
No, it's
the smell.
definitely the tongue.
Okay.
The Jacobson's organ. And we say that it's a smell, but that's because it's the only thing that he can also smell with his nose.
So it's not really smell, it's just
not
a
really smell.
thing that
we just don't have that
with?
scent. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. He's just figuring out they're always tongue flicking because they're just figuring out what is in their environment.
So he's going to know pretty much immediately that I do not smell like food.
Yes, exactly. You have not handled rodents. You don't smell like food, and he also wouldn't. He doesn't have a food response where he would strike immediately. He definitely checks out his prey. Like he knows when he's being fed, and it's never while he's being handled. So he's never had a bad experience with a human. He knows what humans are. He's never had a bad experience, so he has no reason to be afraid. He's never been attacked by anything before.
Aww.
And so he doesn't have any reason to be afraid.
Yeah, he's just cruising along.
And no reason to think that he's being fed right now.
Okay.
So what he might do is, since you have a different scent, if you offer him your hand, he'll check it out and he might be a little bit nervous. He might kind of stop for a second and figure out what that is.
Okay.
So there's two ways we can do this. I can either hand him to you, sort of coil first with the head out, or you could put your hand here and let him...
I'm going to let him sniff me out first.
Okay.
All right. So, I did handle a rabbit earlier. Oh, God.
You did handle a rabbit earlier, but you've washed your hands since, and...
Keegan has a pet bunny. We didn't catch one.
I don't know that he would notice the smell of a rabbit.
Okay.
So that's what he's doing. Can you feel his tongue, or are you watching his tongue? You actually can feel it?
Yes. Okay.
You know where you feel it most when they do it? It's on your eyelashes.
And that's so not funny.
I'm being serious. That's where it really tickles. Like, that's where you really feel it, is when they do it on your eyelashes. So he stops.
Yeah. He's laying his head down. Okay. We're good.
I know, that's great. Now,
ridiculous.
let's try this.
Okay.
Put your hands. We're going to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to put him right here, and then I'll take him as soon as you're ready for me to. But I'm going to have his head on my hand so that he's still with me.
Okay.
Do you want me to take him?
I don't want him to fall.
He won't.
Okay.
You're doing good. He's happy. He's just grabbing onto my finger because he likes to. This is great. So you're doing really well.
No.
Okay, now. No, you're okay.
Look how wily he is.
But he's only wily because you are.
Totally.
Because
I got you.
Can I just do an impression of you? Look how wily he is. Whoa. So let's all right. So let's try this. One hand. So you see how I have, and this is how you would do if you were holding a bigger snake. Is they have a lot of girth. So you would take their girthy part in the back and their girthy part sort of in the front and hold like this. So if you put this hand, let me put him in this hand. No, not a finger. Hand.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Perfect. Now, that part on the other hand. Full hand.
Okay.
There you go. You got him.
I just don't want his little death head to roll up on me.
I'm sorry, did you call it a death head?
That's where all the murder happens.
You're talking to Kent. You've been talking to Kent. So here's the death head. I will hold on to the murderous death head. You're doing very well. This little boy is super sweet and really, he's just curious. Like, he just wants to cruise around. I'm going to let him smell your arm.
Oh, okay.
Is that cool? You're just going to tongue flick on your arm.
I'm just not going to look. Okay. Yeah.
This is really good. This is really good. He's having an adventure. You're having an adventure.
All right. So I've heard you a few times refer to him, as well as some of your other kiddos here, as sweet. So do snakes have personality? I hope that's not a dumb question. Probably.
No, that's a great question because it's
like, how
hotly
do you know
debated.
Oh, okay.
It's a hotly debated question. So two things.
I'm just going to go ahead and give him.
That's right. You did really well with that. That was great. So yes, they have personalities in that each individual snake. different species of python will have certain traits that species tends to do. But within the species, individuals will have certain things that they tend to do. And we take those things and put them together and we say that's that snake's personality. Now, it could be that this snake is really defensive, does not trust humans, so this snake tends to bite. So it's got a personality. People will say, oh, that snake's mean. Well, it's just defensive, like it's scared. But even within snakes that I call sweet, and we're going to talk about that in a second, they have personalities. Whereas I know that if I let the bigger snakes roam around the house, I know because of their personality where they're going to tend to go. That some will try to hide right away. I know where they're going to try to hide, and others that will just try to roam all over and
gotcha.
Check things out.
So more like a pattern of behavior.
Pattern of behavior. Now, sweet is kind of a stretch. I do use that, but what I mean by sweet is that they're not afraid. They're not defensive. So these are snakes that are happy to. So he's as happy checking out my arm and cruising around and having this little adventure as he would be if I put him on the floor and he got to cruise around. In fact, he doesn't ever cruise around on the floor, so that might make him a little bit more nervous. But here, he's happy to just cruise around.
Do snakes like being pets, do you think?
I think that if a snake was taken from the wild and they were not used to humans, they would not like being pets. But think about it this way. If they had a choice, and they don't know the choice, but a ball python in the wild is going to live mainly in, think of it, a lot of times they live in termite mounds, but any kind of den, they'll live in a den. And they're riddled with parasites in the wild, always. They're never not. They're just riddled with parasites. And anytime, if they have to, they're hoping that food comes into their den so they don't have to leave. But if they do leave, everything in the wild is trying to eat them. So they're constantly battled. If you see an adult ball python in the wild, they're riddled with parasites, riddled with scars, because they're constantly battling to try to stay alive. They're always getting attacked. And they're called ball pythons, by the way, because that is their defense mechanism. They roll up into a ball and protect their head. They can fight back, but the first thing they're going to do is ball up.
Like a toddler. Like a
toddler. Yes. Yeah. So these are not scary creatures. These are creatures that are always everything's trying to kill them, from little tiny bugs inside them to everything in the wild.
I mean, it's probably more accurate to say everything out in the world that is a larger predator.
So a personality attribute has a little bit to do with the breed they are, and then a little bit to do with the experience they've already had as a snake. So you said that Bear's never had a bad experience with a human, so that leads into him being a more friendly snake than...
Right, exactly. And he also has a den that gets cleaned for him. He has a janitor that comes in and cleans his den. He doesn't have to go and find another den because he pooped in it and shed in it, so now he's got to go find another den and risk being a predator. And he also gets food delivered to him. He doesn't have to go out and find food and risk a predator. So
cushy life.
I believe that my snakes like being pets. I just believe this, but I, give them exercise and I try to give them enrichment in their enclosures and stuff like that. And I think that if snakes can be happy, I like to think that I have happy snakes. But you never know. I always try other things.
So how do you exercise a snake? Is it like a jazzercise?
Hold on. Let's get another snake and then ask me that.
Okay.
There we go. Look at her little face.
This is a pretty snake.
She's really pretty, right? This is the first snake that ever came out of an egg here at Green Room Pythons. She was the first out of a clutch of 6. So, that being said, every experience in her life I have supervised. So I know that she's never had a bad experience.
How old is she?
Oh, how old is she, you guys? 6 months? She's 6 months, maybe?
Ooh, so this leads me to another question. What is the lifespan of a ball python? Or is it different per their...
Based on whenever they die is their lifespan individually, but on average, on average, it's 25, 30 plus years.
Really?
They live a really long time, yeah. There's, I think the record is maybe 46 years. There's a ball python in the maybe St. Louis Zoo. Somebody's going to comment and correct me.
I had no idea, so this is a really huge commitment to have a snake.
Yeah, they are not disposable animals. She's really holding on to my thumb. If you show her your hand.
Look at that. She's all wrapped around your thumb.
Yeah.
That's kind of...
Do you want to touch her tail or show her your hand so that she can...
I'm going to start with, may I touch her right here?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Dolly. How are you? I like your skin. It's a weird thing to say to a creature.
Especially a human. Like if you said it to a person.
Right? I like your skin.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
it's such
Hannibal.
a serial killer thing to say. She knows me really well, and she's used to crawling on me, and this is for any of these snakes. They're going to make a decision, you know, they're going to smell and then sort of make a decision. And usually there's this advance and retreat thing. So now she's retreating, and then she would advance again, and then, you know, go back and forth, because it's not you as a person, it's your hand as a territory that she's crawling on. Like your hand is a surface for her to crawl on. And whether she connects the fact that your hand is connected to you and you're a person or whatever. Look at that. She likes you. Yeah. So keep your hand right there.
Oh, this makes me very nervous.
Oh, you're doing so well. And so is she. Look at you. Both are doing so well. Take your other hand. Look at that. So I'm going to just show her my hand so that she's not nervous. And this is something that she's used to. It's not that I don't have delusions that like she cares about me as a person. It's okay for some of you that do think that. That's okay, not a problem. But I like to try to think as practically as possible, and I think that she is used to the smell of my hand, and so she probably knows that she's on a new surface right now, and the fact that this hand is still right here makes her feel more comfortable.
Oh boy, it's the slither factor.
Does that bother you?
Oh my! It makes my stomach turn. To be honest, like I
Really?
feel like a little lightheaded.
It's crawling out, really?
Yeah, it's like feeling her move her body the way she is across my hand right now is so uncomfortable for me.
So this is interesting. Do you want me to take her?
Yeah.
Okay. So for people that like snakes, this is something that's really attractive, because what you do is you can put a ball python. I don't recommend this for really large snakes, but you put a ball python around the back of your neck and let them crawl, and it's a massage.
No, I could see how, like, if you weren't scared of snakes, that their movement would be relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's slow.
And with pythons specifically, now there are other snakes that are like darty and erratic and whatever, but you can tell that this animal is very deliberate about what she's doing. You're not gonna. She's not gonna like all of a sudden just lift her head and go around and like whip around. Even though you think she might, you haven't seen that kind of behavior, and they never do that kind of behavior.
Just
like
slow.
Like just always slow, very deliberate, just cruising around.
Well, she's very pretty.
Yeah, right. I'll show you her mom. Her mom's really pretty too. You know what? Before we get her mom though, do you want to assist me in a never before done green room pythons thing that I thought of?
Does it involve holding a snake?
Nope.
Then yes.
It involves holding the Patreon boards. We're going to do a sideways Patreon scroll.
Oh, okay. I'm ready for
you
this.
guys. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. I'm just going to hand it off to you. These are the supporters of the Green Room Pythons page. Now, you move it over because I'm bringing you another one. So now you've set it right over there. Just set it there somewhere. And then, okay. These are the supporters of the Green Room Pythons Patreon. And
I don't know why I'm humming a tune back here.
That's right. Tunes are good. And I super appreciate them because they are helping us get people over here that are afraid of snakes. You guys don't know how expensive it is to get Keegan over here. So she gets a big check for that. So thanks to the Patreon
I'm glad you brought that up
supporters.
because I wanted to discuss the
Right,
fees
the
later.
fees.
Thanks.
Thanks, Patreon. You guys, I'm going to show Dolly's mom to Keegan here in a minute. But before that, Keegan and Kent shot a Kent's Corner on her way in. So let's cut to that. Hi, and welcome to Kent's Corner, the corner of the house. Oh boy, you guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I am a little bit nervous because Oh, Keegan! Hi, wow, what a surprise! I didn't know you were even going to be here. Come sit down.
Hey,
Come over.
so nice to see you. I thought I heard you say you were a little bit nervous. What are you feeling nervous about today?
No, nothing. I didn't say that. You must have misheard me. How come? What brings you to this neck of the woods, the house? How come you're here?
Oh, because of the snakes inside. I'm pretty phobic of snakes, and so Bob invited me over today to meet some snakes, and hoping at the end of it to feel a little less nervous about snakes.
Well, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Why, are you scared of snakes?
Me? No. I'm not scared at all of snakes. I was nervous for you because I don't want you to be killed. But I'm not afraid to die.
I like your hats.
Thanks.
You forgot to do your in tag.
He seemed nervous.
Were you nervous? Nope.
I heard him say he was nervous.
Well, to be fair, he is always very nervous around snakes. That's not true. I am not nervous around snakes.
Did you want to hold one?
No, because I'm sick. Otherwise I would, but I don't want to transfer a sickness to a snake. Otherwise I totally would touch a snake if I wasn't so sick. Should we just get back to this? Yes, please. Okay, you guys, we're going to get Freya now. And Freya is the mother to the snake that you just were dealing with. So she's a lot bigger.
All right. I'm curious to see a big snake. I just don't want to necessarily hold a big snake, but I want to see one.
Totally don't have to, and you don't even have to touch her if you don't want to. But Freya is... Really? I did just pull the hide right off the top of her.
I do like all their little habitats. I mean, you can tell they're very loved snakes.
What I was looking for, because Freya here just shed a couple nights ago, and she didn't poop. You know, usually a snake will poop right when they shed. And I see in there, it looks like a dog went in there and pooped.
Yes.
Does it not?
Yes.
It looks like a dog has creeped in there.
Yeah, definitely
and
bigger
left.
than a cat and smaller than a Great Dane.
Yeah, because these are basically just big poop tubes. But so this is Freya, and Freya is never defensive, but she would always rather not be messed with too much. Like she likes to come out and move around, and she likes to get a little bit of exercise, but her exercise is under the couch behind all the furniture and stuff, and she goes back and forth and then eventually curls up and falls asleep. Now, if you give her your hand, this is like I'll pull her away.
Oh my God.
This is like a dog that wants to check you out, though. That wants to see what's going on. She's not used to you. She can tell that that's a different smell. She's not used to that, and she wants to see what it is. Do you want to give her your hand like you were with the little ones? No? Okay. All right. So
Hi.
this is the mama.
Hello from over here. That's okay.
Now,
boundaries, personal.
If you slowly move, now if you waved your hand like really big, that would make her nervous, because that would make her think that maybe it's a hawk coming to, because she doesn't know what it is, and it could always be a predator, you know.
Thank you for warning me of that before I did it.
She wouldn't strike, though. It would just make her nervous. Like she would pull back.
Oh, well, the last thing I'd want is for the snake to be nervous.
I'm
going to touch her. Is that all right?
Okay,
touch her?
for sure.
I'm curious about what... Ooh. Okay. Okay. All right.
Kind of interesting, right?
Yeah. All right. She kind of has hearts on her.
She does have hearts. Yeah.
Who could be murderous with hearts on their skin? Oh, okay. Laying your head down. Okay, up the arm is not going to be okay with me. So. Just going to not do that.
You did very well. I'm going to put her back.
Hi, Freya.
Do you want to see the dad now?
Is the dad bigger?
No, the dad is not, and that's why it's surprising.
Okay.
Females are bigger than males.
All right. He's really pretty, too.
He is really pretty, and here's a cool thing that you might like about the top of his head.
He could be your mascot. Dangerously close to your logo.
I've got guitars on the wall. I know, it really is.
Hey, buddy. It's cool.
Now, let me ask you this. Is this experience making you any more comfortable with snakes?
No.
Except, before, like, you weren't even willing to put your hand out before, and now you are. I feel like you have made some progress.
I mean, maybe. The only time I ever run into snakes are, like at Renaissance fairs or events where there's always almost always somebody is walking around with a snake, if not more than one.
Really bad idea, you guys. Don't do that to your snakes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sidebar, why?
I have a whole video on it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It's because of people like you, for one thing. you don't want to be surprised by somebody walking up going, Keegan, and then all of a sudden you notice that I have a snake around your neck.
Exactly.
Right? That freaks you out.
What I do is I avoid those people, and I gotta say, it kind of makes it skeeves out my experience at whatever the event is, because then I'm sort of constantly like, is that snake guy around?
And also, let me ask you this, because people that often bring their snakes, and I know that a lot of you are watching that bring your snakes to events, but just hear me out on this. And I also have a video about taking your snakes outside that we talk about, this little section about taking them in public. And this is an important point. When you see somebody with a snake, as someone who's afraid of snakes, when you see somebody with a snake around your neck, do you feel like you come away from that experience having learned something about that snake and are more comfortable around snakes?
Absolutely not.
Right.
That makes me just feel like, okay, now I gotta, sort of side eye everybody that walks by and make sure that they're not a snake.
Right. So,
or carrying one.
My point here is that a lot of people think that they are teaching the public about snakes by doing this, and the people that you're teaching are the ones who already like snakes and run up and go, oh my God, let me see your snake. What kind is it? What do you have? And they ask you all the questions. That's great. But somebody who's not comfortable with snakes, that's not happening with. So my other reason for not doing that is, did you see how I just moved and he moved his head back? Did you notice that? Because he didn't know what that movement was.
Well, I can't imagine it's like a pleasant experience for the snake.
That's exactly the point. They don't want to be in public.
I mean, if they're always sort of prey out there in the natural world, and
right, they don't need all that visual stimulation, like tons of people walking by, all that stuff. Plus, a lot of these festivals, as you know, are in the middle of summer under the hot sun.
Right.
And the snakes around your neck, getting the sun beat down on them, they don't have any place to retreat to if it gets too hot for them. He is totally, but I love this though for him, because he's a shy boy and he's totally comfortable with you right now and he wants to check you out. I know you're
be checked out.
I know, but this is really good for him. Like, that was really good therapy for him. He decided that he liked you and he wanted to see what you were all about. That was cool. I do feel like you've made some strides in the fact that you'll touch them. You'll let Ron put his head on you.
This is a controlled environment. So if you invited me over again, I would be less scared of your snakes the next time. Or if somebody else whose snake ownership I trust invited me over, I would be more comfortable than I was before this experience. How about that?
Yeah.
That's the best I can do.
I mean, that's something that other people have said before, whether it's on video or they're just coming over and seeing these snakes for the first time. They say, I'm not scared of your snakes anymore.
Because we trust you enough to know that you're not going to just randomly hand us a snake that may be a bad snake.
Right.
Not that they're bad snakes, I'm not saying that, but
right.
A less than agreeable snake.
Can I show you one more snake?
Yes.
That's not a ball python.
Yes.
Still a python, though. Okay.
Okay, this is the most horrifying of all of the snakes so far to me.
Yeah, because she's long and thin. So she's an arboreal snake. You don't have to touch her. Wait, but stay in frame at least. Stay in frame. I'll be on this side of the frame.
Okay, this is like as close as I can.
Okay. So she's an arboreal snake. That's why her body type looks like this. And she's still a baby. She's like 9 months old. This is for those of you at home, this is a super dwarf reticulated python. She's 100% Kalatoa. And that's a locality that she's from. She's not from there, but her grandparents are from there. She's an F2, for those of you that wanted to know. Her grandparents are straight off the island of Kalatoa. And she is also a very sweet snake. But she's a lot more active than a ball python. And so she's always going to be moving. Very active snakes. You don't like it at all. So for you, it's the movement. Ball pythons are much more sedentary, so that would be the snake for you. You should have a ball python.
Oh, I'm going to run right out and get one.
I'm going to put her back.
I still,
You've done really well, because of the 3 people that I've had over here and introduced to snakes, you are definitely the most uncomfortable with snakes.
Right.
But still, you touch them, you let them crawl, you held them, you let them crawl on you, and now you're totally over your fear of snakes, and you're ready to get one.
Were you hoping this was going to change my mind?
I didn't think it would, because I knew that you had a pretty solid fear of. I had Morgan, who you know, came over. Morgan was uncomfortable with snakes, but he was totally game. And then my buddy Popeye, who you don't know, was the first one, and he was even more scared than Morgan,
But he was like excited, scared. Like he was giggling. He was like afraid and giggling and afraid, you know. But he did really well. You are borderline phobia of snakes. But as we talked about, I don't think it's a phobia.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
You did really well.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, you guys. See you next week. Thanks so much for doing this.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
All right. See you next time.
All right.
Nice to see you too, Kent. Sorry, no kiss for you because you're sick.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. That way everybody stays healthy.